Well, my little story is about the Vietnam War. I'm an early Vietnam veteran. In 1966, I joined the Army. I have two brothers that joined the Army. History of uncles and aunts that were in the military, and my sister, whose husband was in the Air Force pilot in Vietnam, and later married to a general, and Don Rogers. I'll make my little story brief. My introduction to the Army, I wanted to be a truck driver or a supply clerk or anything. I didn't want nothing to do with all this killing. So when I got to Vietnam, they said, "You four are going to the first air cav." And I looked around and I thought, well, that patch is pretty, but I don't know about, about being in the first cav. And so they flew me in my first helicopter out to the field where they were bivouacked in the Bonsan Plains. I'm a kid, 19, 20 years old. I haven't a clue what's going on. And basic training, and they taught us how to fight a war like they did in World War II. Now all of a sudden they got these helicopters. I haven't never even been on a helicopter. So I'm wandering around this group of guys trying to get my head straight and act like I got something going on, and I'm just a private. And I looked around at the crowd and I seen one guy that had worn out fatigues on and he looked kind of rough. So I walked over to him because we'd just been told in the morning we were going to go on a combat airstrike with the helicopters. I haven't a clue what this is happening. So I thought, well, let me ask this guy. He looks intelligent. He knows what the thing's all about. So I go over to him and quietly say, can you feed me in on here? I've never ridden in a helicopter. I haven't a clue. I don't want to get killed on the first day. And he looks at me kind of like, trainee? And then I guess he felt sorry for me. He says, well, I'm going to tell you. And he says, on the combat air assault with the first cav, it's a hair-raising adrenaline rush. And I said, really? He says, everything is happening. You get on that helicopter and you're flying in a big circle. You look down at the LZ where you're going to land. It's all just exploding and flashes of artillery going off. They're softening up the LZ in case it's a crowd waiting for you. Then a 60 caliber is sitting right next to you about 12 inches away. Is going to start rattling off these rounds. And it comes down. You got 3 to 5 seconds to get off that helicopter. Is that loud enough? I probably...
People can't hear you.
Uh-oh. I'll start over.
I didn't say that.
Anyway, he says, when that helicopter goes down, you have 3 to 5 seconds to unass it. That's the exact word he used. So I'm a little worried, and he says, when you jump off that helicopter, you run toward the tree line. That 60 caliber is still shooting away into the tree line. He is shooting to the left and right of you and over your head because he's trying to keep them pinned down. And you run with your M16 firing into the brush line. And run, bend over as much as you can, or you could get shot in the back of the head with that 60 caliber. So I thought, well, I'll definitely remember that part. So then I did a few of these. Luckily, there was no one there. He said, if there's someone there, there'll be a red smoke. If there's no one, a green smoke. So it went all good for about 2 months. And okay, I'm getting to be a pro here. I got to where I would sit on the floor in the door, have my feet on the skid, hold on with my left hand, and that helicopter hit the ground, and it might be 4, 3, 6, 8 feet off the ground. I would bail out because you're in the middle of the target set in that helicopter. And I'd run toward the tree line. Okay, this is great. Even on the first run, they had a helicopter with a bugle blowing on a loudspeaker like we're going in to save the wagon train. You know, the cav hadn't moved up, I guess. They're still fighting the war in the desert. But I went on with this for about 3 months, and then it all came to end in January. It was the same routine, but I chose to carry a M79 this time, which is you break it like an old shotgun. You load an HE round or a shotgun round, and the barrel is about as big as round as a golf ball. I mean, you can almost roll a golf ball down the barrel. So I thought I would try one of these out. I built off that chopper like I normally do, started toward the tree line, run about 10 feet, and I looked up, and about 100 feet away was a machine gun nest. He was shooting the hell out of the helicopter I just got off of. How he missed me, I do not know. I guess he wanted a bigger target. And I instantly dove to the ground and fired a shotgun round at him because I knew I had to keep him pinned down. so he couldn't take an aim at me. As I rolled to the right, I glanced back at the helicopter. The gunner was shot. He was hanging out the door with that, we called it a G-strap to keep him from falling all the way out. The chopper was wobbling left and right. I guess one of the pilots was hit. And I just rolled left and I shot at that machine gun. I knew as long as I kept shooting at him, he had his machine gun, which I was lucky, on bipod at the end of the barrel. In order to shoot me, he had to stand up. If he stood up, I could shoot him in the face. But all I could do was shoot at his fingers. So I continued firing at his fingers and rolling left and right and left and right. And about the third or fourth row, I said to myself, this guy's no idiot. He's getting ready to figure this out. So the third or fourth time, I rolled further to the left. And just as I fired a shot, somebody out in the open area yelled, "Kent, behind you." The situation gets even worse. I had to roll between two positions. Behind me was a spider hole, we called it. This little pointed hat went down, and I thought, oh no, now what do I do? Face this guy or face the machine gun? One of them's going to get me. And so I fired at the machine gun to get him busy. I spun around and aimed at the top of that spider hole, and I said, please stand up now. I hadn't got but a few seconds. The little guy stood up with a pointed hat, and it cost him his life. The machine gun almost got me. I fired at it, and I rolled back to the right again. And I fired it, and then it got worse. I could hear a helicopter coming in the distance. And I knew that helicopter was going to land where mine landed, and it's going to get shot all to hell with that machine gun. I turned and I thought, I got to take this machine gun out or he's going to kill that whole crew. You don't know what to do. Everything is split-second decisions. So I crammed the shotgun around and I shot at the thing, and I rolled to the left and I pulled my .45, took a hand grenade, and I threw it at that hole. It didn't quite go in the hole with that machine gun. And I said, the second it goes off, I'm going to dive in that hole with this guy. And sure enough, it went off before he could get his marbles together. I dove in the hole with my .45, and I didn't kill the guy. It was the bullets that killed him. So that's how I live with all that. But anyway, I come out of that hole, and I was lucky to be alive. That battle lasted all day and to the night. My unit had over 20 casualties, including my company commander, which was Captain Byrd. I went on with this stuff for the next several months, and everything just kept happening, one thing or another. And I got a Bronze Star, a Silver Star, Purple Heart, and I don't know, I'm just a regular soldier wanting to get out of that country and come home. And that's about all I have to say, and I thank y'all for listening to my little story.